Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 310. This week, we have Fani is in, school choice, take the car, TikTok's Senate challenge, barbecuing in Haiti, next suicide, no more on the House floor, Boeing has his very own Epstein, and what the hell is Kamala talking about? I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my part of this endeavor, Representative Emeritus Ken Pullen.
Hey, Dave. And so I saw one of your old state representatives up there is on TikTok now, Micah. He's got quite the TikTok page. Speaking of TikTok.
Yeah, Micah does like the camera.
He does. I love Micah, though. He's a super guy. But I commented
he's entertaining as hell.
No, I should have commented on his Facebook page that his state senator is trying to ban TikTok in Georgia, so don't get too carried away with his TikTok page. But there's not many things Jason doesn't want to ban, it feels like.
I'm trying to think. Is he in Jason's?
I would imagine. Yeah, but Mike
we do have that little slice of holding down there that is not. That's going to the new Senate district.
I love Micah's cowboy hat, though. He's out there selling the company in Atlanta that does kind of the wristwatch for prisoners to monitor them. And
Teltrix or whatever it is.
Teltrix, yeah. I bet Mike is a great salesman.
Yeah, look, he believes in the product. He wears it, and
he does.
And he'll show it off to you. Mike is a super good guy. I mean, he'll show it off to you. I love the product. I like the.
Well, you may get to wear one day if you keep screwing up.
Yeah, no kidding. if I keep speaking out of turn, no, I like the product because it takes away the stigma of the ankle monitor.
Yeah, the ankle monitor. Yeah, I like it also.
If we could put it in Smith State Prison, think about a guard be able to sit there with multiple screens up and get an alert that there's somebody in danger.
Oh, I know. It's a great product.
Also, I think it tests the sweat. So if there are drugs present, let's go to this guy's cell. We know he's using. Boom,
Jeez,
let's go.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
So yeah, it's cool. Really good for people facing DUI. Instead of having to blow into something on your device, the wristwatch is already tracking with whether you've been drinking or not. If you're on probation or whatever.
I didn't know it did that. That's awesome.
So The Falcons have a new quarterback. The Cuz.
$180 million for 4 years. How do you get that kind of money in the NFL when you're 36 years old?
Coming off of an Achilles injury.
And he's only won one playoff game over the past 12 years. I think it's a big enhancement for, look, Atlanta's got a good defense. They got good wide receivers. I think Cousins could lead them to the playoffs this year and maybe to the NFC Championship. Never know.
Yeah, and look, Cousins, from what I saw yesterday as we record, in his career will make more than Tom Brady did on his contracts.
Yes.
Now, is he going to touch Tom Brady on the ancillary stuff that he has done with national ads and all that stuff? No,
but Cam Newton was talking, or Cam Newton. I'm sorry, I called him Scam Newton. Cam Newton was talking about him. He said he believes that Cousins appeal to teams just because he does not make a lot of noise off the field. Well, duh. That is good, right? He just does his job on the field and doesn't say a bunch of stuff off.
We kicked Cam out of the University of Florida.
Really?
For off the field stuff, for having a stolen laptop in his room.
It means a lot. It means even more nowadays that a football team will pay someone to not have a bunch of distractions.
And look, Desmond Ridder was not a distraction, and he's on his way out. He's on his way to the desert. He's going to play for Arizona, and it was a good trade for Atlanta. Desmond will get a chance to refresh and restart. The word is he was actually headed for LA, but got intercepted.
Oh, really? Oh, God, sorry. Slow. I'm slow today. What about the other quarterback that got drafted or got turned or cut loose? Played for Seattle a couple years ago, had a great run at Seattle, went to Denver and just failed miserably at Delta.
Oh, Wilson?
At Denver. And now Russell Wilson. Has he gotten picked up yet?
I don't know. I don't follow it that closely. Look, he's a very, very talented guy. He did very well under Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll is a hell of a football coach.
He's going to Pittsburgh. He's a Steeler now. Okay, that'll be a good spot for him to land.
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah,
We're just
the weather's
all about football.
Weather's not going to bother him.
No, it's not at all.
Well, we're coming up to the draft in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
So right now it's the trades and free agents and all that stuff that happens before the draft. And what these teams are doing, like the Falcons are doing, is they're going ahead and setting their base and say, okay, now maybe we can trade our pick back and get 2 second rounders or something like that. If they have their starter set, well, let's get some backups and let's not waste first round money on backups. So let's move back and get additional picks.
Right.
But yeah, $100 million guaranteed. And look, Cousins is a good dude. I don't know if he's certainly not Tom Brady. He's not going to put the team on his back, but he's also not going to pull a Desmond Ritter and try to run with the ball in one hand and get it swatted out, or try to make throws across his body and get picked off.
No, I like him. I like Cousins. And I heard he's on that new NFL Netflix special, and I heard it's pretty good. So I'm going to have to watch that coming up.
Yeah, so Fani gets to stay if Wade leaves. This ruling came down Friday morning.
Yes.
You and I have been waiting for it for 2 weeks and heard Thursday night that it may come down any minute. So, I had Laura Ingram up and all that stuff. And I don't know why it makes a damn bit of difference if I hear it as soon as it comes out or not. But as we record on Friday, it just came down. It's a very interesting ruling.
Yeah, and before you get into that in detail, to back up a couple days, this is probably old news by the time the show drops, but that same judge dropped 5 of the charges against President Trump. So then that came out Wednesday, I think, and now this ruling came out. Yeah, came out on Friday.
Now he smacked her around a good bit in the ruling.
He did, yeah, he definitely did. He said it found it found the appearance of impropriety. I can't even say that. Yeah, impropriety. I'm having a tough time talking again today. Yes, he talked about her lack of judgment, or a tremendous lack of judgment, unprofessional manner of the DA's office and testimony. Yeah, he did smack her around. He said it's either one or the other, right? You've got to go, or Wade's got to go.
And look, what he came down with, and people on the Trump team are gonna lose their minds about it. What he said was there's no precedent to remove a constitutional officer from a case. Now, if this was an ADA, different matter. But he really kind of leaned back on her position, saying there's no precedent and there's no specific Georgia law that states I have to remove her. Now, I would feel that a judge's judgment would say if there's the appearance of impropriety, appearance is reality, perception is reality.
Right.
So if people perceive that she's dirty, then she's dirty. And especially in politics, that's very difficult to get away from. It's one of the reasons that I advise people, don't go to court with tattoos on your face. You could be we have a guy that runs a pit bull rescue out here. One of the nicest guys in the world, but he's all tatted up, and when he goes before the little old ladies and stuff for zoning, and not my board, but in front of zoning, people, plus he's a New Yorker, so he has a kind of he has a Yankee accent, and he's all tattooed up. And people give a perception to him that it doesn't exist. The guy's a huge animal lover.
Right.
But anyway, back on this. But man, he smacked her around. I don't know how this case moves on, because the first thing I'm going to do is if I'm on the Trump team or on any of the defense team for the co-defendants, is appeal this decision. Mm-hmm. That's going to take a couple months.
Yeah, it is.
And then we're past. Right now, Trump and Biden are presumptive nominees. Until they go to convention, they're not the nominees. Once the conventions happen, that's it. He's locked in as a nominee, and these prosecutions need to halt. It doesn't mean they go away. It just means they need to halt because you're in the middle of an election season. But you can't take what they're making Trump do is while Biden's going around Michigan and still losing, going around Michigan, Trump's having to show up in court.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Eric Erickson say this on Twitter. He said the only case now that will be tried, or more than likely be tried before the November election, is Alvin Bragg's case up in New York, which is actually the weakest case that they have on Trump, because there's no way this Atlanta case is going to move forward before the election now.
I can't see it because they're going to appeal. If she doesn't get thrown off the case, then
I don't even know if they appeal this. I mean, what would be your appeal? I don't think anybody would hear that. I mean, I don't think the appeal goes anywhere, I guess is what I'm saying. I mean, everybody can look at this and say one of them needs to go. Yeah, but I agree they appeal. I just don't think it goes anywhere. Or Fannie may just appoint another special prosecutor and take off again.
If she can find one to take her on cruises. For $600,000, I'll take Fanny on a cruise. I'm just getting a different stateroom.
Yeah, I got to have another stateroom.
That's on me because I snore. It's on me. You stay over here. We're on the same cruise, but I just don't want to see you or talk to you or be anywhere near you. But thank you for my check.
Yes, exactly.
He stopped short, barely short, of calling her an outright liar on the stand.
Yep.
Now, this is not the case that he was not to hear a perjury case. That's not, and that's something that people also need to realize is he was looking at a very narrow purview. She was not the defendant, as she stated, but he did comment on her behavior on the stand was unprofessional, unbecoming a member of the bar. Some of the terminology that he used was just he was not kind.
No, not at all. Not at all. But it's good we've got closure on this case because I think everybody thought this was the way it was going. I think the judge ruled fairly quickly on this. So maybe we can move on now or drop all the charges.
And I think it was a thoughtful ruling.
I do too. I really do.
I don't agree with everything. I think she should have been thrown off. I think they both should have been thrown off the case. But I felt it was a thoughtful ruling in that he took 2 weeks. He cited case law. He cited the Georgia Code. He didn't just rule from the bench and go, one of you's got to go, and give no explanation behind it. He took his time, had his law clerks go through stuff, and he really did his research on it. And whether you agree with the ruling or not, that's what we want our judges doing. That's what we want our judicial system doing. Now I can't talk any. Doing is putting thought into their rulings.
Yeah, and look, what I like about this too is you've got Republicans calling out Judge McAfee because they're mad that he didn't throw Fani Willis off the case. And Democrats are mad because he's making one of them leave the case. So I think I agree with you on this, that anytime Republicans and Democrats are both mad at one person, they probably did a pretty good ruling. So it's interesting that both parties are mad at this judge. And by the way, this judge was appointed by Governor Kemp. I don't think a lot of people know this, but he was appointed by Governor Kemp, and he also has a challenger this year in the election coming up. So that would be really, most of the time judges don't get beat. They get appointed and then they retire when they want to retire. But this guy's got serious competition this year.
Well, and I don't think Democrats are very happy about his verbiage in dressing her down.
No, I agree.
And I would think if I wanted to challenge Fani in Fulton County, and I don't know what challengers she has.
She does have a challenger, but there's no way Fanny's getting beat.
I would run the judge's words over and over and over in every flyer I sent out in Fulton County.
No doubt. And the guy that's challenging McAfee this year is Robert Patillo. Robert is a lawyer and TV commentator. So he's running against Superior Court Judge McAfee.
Interesting.
And McAfee's only 34 years old. I mean, he's a young guy to be a judge. So we'll see. I mean, this guy running against him he's probably going to say he was appointed by Governor Kemp. He's doing Republican work. it'll be interesting how nasty that campaign gets, even though it is nonpartisan.
Usually judicial races don't get nasty because at the end of the day, one has to argue in front of the other.
I know, but this is an unusual year.
It is an unusual year. It's usually why you don't see sheriff's races get very ugly.
Right.
Because you're both in the same profession.
Yep.
So, all right. So school choice passes in Georgia.
Yeah, barely. So this is the bill, Senate Bill 233, that actually failed last year. We've talked about this on the show quite a bit. I think it was about 16 or 17 Republicans voted no on this bill last year. It failed, came back up this year, and passed by a margin of 91 to 82. And so it had to have 91 votes. It got 91 votes. And there were still a few Republicans that voted no this year, but not quite as many. But yeah, this is, I think this is, I tell everybody school choice is the number one ranked polling issue across Republicans and Democrats in the state of Georgia.
Now, and it's still mislabeled. It's not school choice.
It's not. This bill is go ahead.
It's very, very narrow.
It is very narrow. That's what I was about
if you're
to say.
in a failing school,
you've got to be in the bottom 25% of public schools in Georgia. And if you are, then your parents can take basically a state portion of what the state gives a local government or a local school system, which is $6,500 per student. And you can use that money to cover the cost of tuition, tutoring, supplies for homeschooling, or other educator-related expenses. And people will say there's no oversight on this program. There's tons of oversight on this program. I was actually surprised it's governed by the Georgia Student Finance Commission. And then I saw another Twitter user this morning said that there's no oversight on homeschool parents. And I'm like, yeah, good. I mean, seriously, that's a great thing, right?
Actually, there is.
Well, but some. I've got some homeschool families that I notice. Look, I'm not saying there should be. I think it's fine if you want to educate your child at home.
Well, I'm saying is,
however,
if you want to get your kid, essentially into college, accredited,
there's tests and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, there's checks in there.
Yep. Most homeschool parents do a set of standardized testing. Yep, totally.
And community schools where you have 3 or 4 families get together.
Yeah, those are cool, like co-ops. Yep.
Yeah, and I've seen a bunch of those. We've got one out here that's run by a very, very nice lady.
Yeah, my sister's in one of those with her kids. They work really well.
Yeah. They do, and it's small class sizes. The parents have input.
Mm-hmm.
That's what schooling used to be. That's when we had the most educated students coming out. Is when the little house on the prairie idea, where you have a schoolhouse and you have 5 or 6 families that send their kids in there. There's a teacher, and back then there was such a rush to get kids, especially boys, educated by the time they're in the 3rd or 4th grade, because back then you'd get pulled out to go work the farm, and you needed to be able to read, write, cipher, arithmetic. So you needed those skills even to work on a farm. You needed to know how to write up an order for feed for your animals or whatever else.
Yeah, totally.
So there was a big push to get this stuff done by 3rd or 4th grade when these kids would be pulled out. It wasn't this idea of college prep that in order to be successful, you have to go to college prep. And honestly, college prep is not preparing kids for college either.
Yep.
And these homeschools tend to turn out kids that are pretty successful.
Yes, I think this is a good thing. I think 2 sides on this, and both sides are upset about this a little bit. Democrats hate school choice, right? They want to pump unlimited amounts of money into public school with very little, if no oversight. Republicans, when they find out this is so narrowly crafted, I think some Republicans are going to say, well, yeah, this is okay, but you said we got school choice, and now you have to be in the lowest 25% of the schools in Georgia. So I hope they continue to increase the eligibility of this program, and not just, right now it's like Brian Kemp got his signature legislation passed and blah, blah, blah. I hope they go back and revisit and make this more welcoming and open to other students in Georgia.
Well, this goes into Senate 26. This would allow, I don't know, are there failing schools in Macon?
I don't know. I'd have to look. I mean, my initial guess was yes, but I don't know.
Well, let me say I got two kids, and I find a really nice house in Macon that's, in a bad neighborhood, but really, really nice house. Well, that would allow me to go ahead and move into that house without the consideration of, oh, the school's bad and all that stuff. Is be able to take my portion of the state funds that honestly I pay and either homeschool, send the kids to private school or whatever else, cover the cost of transportation to get them to a decent school or something like that. So it does have a good effect on the real estate market.
Yeah,
because
but one thing, you have to be enrolled in public school for at least, I think, 1 to 2 years in the failing school system. So you can't just move into a failing school system and then take advantage of this.
Too bad.
Yeah. So, they've covered the bases on it, which is what makes this bill pretty good, is they have covered bases like that. And I think there's an income cap of $120,000 a year for parents. So it's
for the family?
For the family. So this is really tailored towards...
Oh, good Lord.
Look, this is really tailored towards parents and children that are in failing schools that are lower on the income ladder. I mean, that's what this bill is targeted towards.
Yeah, $120 is only two parents making 60.
Yeah, this is a political bill. It'll do some good, but at the end of the day, this is politics 101.
But it's like we say about the liberal bills, this is getting the foot in the door.
It is. If they keep enhancing it, yes, we'll have to see.
Right. If they keep widening it just a little further, and we might actually get to the point where we have true school choice.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't care if you make $5 million a year or $500,000 a year or
you're actually paying more taxes when you're doing that, right? So you should definitely get your money back. Yep.
All right. So, Canada. Canada.
Couple stories on Canada.
We do. So, leave your fobs on your front doorstep. The key fob for your car.
I really thought this was a sarcastic story from the Babylon Bee, but it's true.
You would think it was. You would think this is a B headline, but anyway, an official in Canada tossed out the idea of leaving your car keys on your front doorstep, saying thieves are breaking in your house to find your car keys to steal your car. Just go ahead and leave your fob on the front doorstep so they don't have to break into the house and it'll keep you safer.
He said they don't want anything else in your house. They're just looking for your car so they can steal. Or looking for your keys, so they can steal your car. So basically, leave your keys outside so they don't break into your car. Who in the world would say that? This is amazing. It really is.
You've got sheriffs down in Florida that come straight out and say, someone broke into your house and you shot him? Good.
I know.
You get sheriffs around here. We call I don't say sheriffs, but we've got the idea out here. It's called taking out the trash. Someone kicks your door in and you blast them.
Taking out the trash.
You did everybody a favor. Yeah, take out the trash. Call 911, then call a disaster recovery place to get the blood off the floor and out of the carpet and whatever else, and move on with life. But just to capitulate, this must be called the Neville Chamberlain doctrine.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is go ahead and take just take that bit. Just take that bit. You know what? If I'm a car thief, I'd steal your car if you left your keys sitting on the front door, and then watch your house for when you get your insurance settlement and get a new one, and go take that one too.
Yep.
I mean, this may have a really good effect on car sales in Toronto, but it's also going to have a horrible effect on insurance prices.
I know. Canada, this Justin Trudeau, their prime minister up there, is a disaster anyway. I was just looking up when the next federal election is. It looks like it's next year in 2025, but I can't believe Canada. I don't know. I just can't believe Canada's got this clown running the show up there.
He's a second generation clown.
Yeah, he is. Maybe that's name recognition.
Oh, blackface Trudeau.
Yep, exactly. And you saw this story too. We've got it in the outline, but more craziness for Canada, where you can actually get a life in prison for putting harmful content online now. And the description of it's real generic, right? It says that, if you put harmful content out that induces a child to harm themselves or intimate content, communicate without consent. They, get some different type definitions. You can go to jail for life by doing that.
Well, they don't have a First Amendment. Used to think of Canada as a bunch of nice, polite people. Man, we don't even give life in prison to killers in this country.
I know.
I mean, you have to do something pretty heinous to get life in prison. And they're up there handing it out for speech.
Yeah, speech. Yeah, Canada's going crazy.
Look, all right. Typical online argument. If I looked like you, I'd just go out and kill myself.
Yeah, you can go to jail for life in Canada for saying that.
Go to prison for. Now, I don't know how bad a Canadian prison is. I don't know if it's somewhere between Smith State and
who cares what it's like? You're still in jail. I mean,
I know. I was just making a joke. Like, you get poutine on Thursdays.
But a lot of this is coming from England too. Where England is throwing people in jail for saying the wrong or calling somebody by the wrong pronoun. I mean, it's just we're throwing people in jail now for speech, which is very, very scary. And it hasn't reached the U.S. yet, but with some of these liberals and Democrats in office, is this coming within the next 2 to 3 years?
It's gonna be difficult because we do have the First Amendment. It's going to be very, very difficult for liberals who have always fought for the First Amendment to work their way around.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But I never thought Georgia would pass a hate crimes bill, which is thought and speech again. But we passed that up under a Republican legislature and a Republican governor a couple of years ago. That's a first
crisis.
That's a First Amendment issue.
Sure it is. A crisis legislation.
Yeah, so that's the point. Like if Republicans are passing hate crime legislation like they did in Georgia, then what's to say this doesn't, or, they did it in Georgia just because of a certain event that occurred. So what happens if
it's crisis?
Yeah, you're right.
It's crisis legislation.
Yep. And what happens if we have another crisis and, they pass more legislation for that? So it's scary. I just think the government's going to govern, and yeah, it's scary.
Well, we haven't gotten rid of the TSA, and that was a crisis legislation also.
Yep.
Yeah, the reason you still have to take your shoes off, take your laptop out, and all that stuff. Take your shoes off because one guy was trying to light a shoe bomb on an airplane.
I know
that. I don't think that flight even originated in the United States.
And literally, I've got that fast pass going through. Traffic, it costs like $100 every couple of years. I mean, they made hundreds of millions of dollars because one guy took his shoe off and had to change security setups all over the world where you had, what is it called? TSA pre-check. So now, they had to redo everything because of that guy, but now I can pay $100 a year and I have to take my shoes off.
Right. Hey, look, the TSA was never supposed to be the people at the airport. They were supposed to be an oversight board.
Right.
Every airport was supposed to have its own security, pay for its own security, and then the TSA was supposed to be, just an oversight. There may be one or two agents in each airport that come and make sure everything's going according to federal regulations, but it wasn't supposed to be this juggernaut. And trust me, every time I hear them walking up and down barking, shoes off, belt off, and I've told them several times, like, dude, who the hell are you yelling at?
Yeah, I don't go that way, so you must not have pre-check. Or you're listening to them talk to other people as you walk by?
I'm listening to them. Well, I fly Sky Priority, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
So I kind of go to a different lane, but still get the barking and all that stuff. And first of all, in other cities, TSA has a sense of humor. Like I'll crack a joke, something like that, they'll laugh. Atlanta, it's like they're a bunch of ciphers. Yep. If you make a joke, they just kind of stare at you. I was flying during COVID, so take your mask down. And I put a big clown smile on. This isn't funny, sir. I said, no, it is funny. It's friggin' hilarious that you think this is saving anybody.
I know.
So anyway, back home from Canada, the TikTok ban heads to the Senate.
Yeah, so this passed the House last week pretty comfortably, and now the bill is in the Senate. And they're calling this a TikTok ban, they're basically making Chinese parent company ByteDance sell the app by September if this bill passes. And they have to sell it to, I think, a U.S. based entity if they want to stay in business.
Or non-hostile nation.
Non-hostile nation, however that's defined, right? I thought this is interesting. President Biden supports the ban. President Trump flipped his views on it, and now he doesn't support the ban. There's a lot of, he's got a billionaire guy that's contributing to his campaign. It's a big investor in TikTok. So a lot of people are putting two and two together and saying, he's flipping he's changing his views because of his, people that contribute to his campaign. I don't know, or maybe it's just because Biden said it was black and Trump said it was white. Who knows? But that's how our presidential candidates view this legislation.
Now, I don't TikTok. I think it's stupid.
I like TikTok. I think this bill is very dangerous, though, and this is what some of the more Republican libertarian guys like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie has been saying. There's a section in the bill that says a person subject to the direction or control of a foreign person or entity described in paragraph A or B, which is so basically the bill is kind of wide open, which says you can basically shut down anything online, either a website or an app, if they're under the direction or control of a foreign person or entity. So it's given a lot of power to the president to say, what stays online and what doesn't stay online. And I think that is the dangerous part of this bill. So they could say Elon Musk is in cahoots with Vladimir Putin, right? So now we need to shut Twitter down. That's where this bill's going.
And that's the problem is they're not focused on content. And what TikTok's doing, and we know this is what they're doing, is they're using algorithms. And look, algorithms are a very fancy way of saying garbage in, garbage out. Is they're using algorithms to target certain individuals or certain groups of individuals with certain information.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yep.
But Facebook does the same thing.
Instagram does the same thing.
But they are pushing the Palestinian thing.
Yep.
They'll push Ukraine if that's what they want. If the CCP wants the American electorate to support these foreign wars to keep bleeding us dry, that's what they'll push.
Yep. And I'm not saying TikTok's good or bad, because I think last week when they were about to pass this bill, you had kids calling into Congress, recording their calls saying they're going to kill themselves if TikTok goes away, right? Like, as a society, we're at the point where kids live on their phones now. And literally, if, they spend 10 hours or 15 or 20 hours a day on TikTok, that they would have mental issues if TikTok is banned. Now, there's a reason not to ban it, but that's the problem now is these people are just on these apps all day long. And it's almost life or death for them.
Yeah, but it's like saying you shouldn't tell a heroin addict to stop doing heroin.
Right. I know.
If it's that significant part of their life or their lives, they do need to taper off. But they're not. TikTok is not going away one or the other. And what these politicians don't understand is the company that they sell it to, and it will go to a company. That data is still not safe. The algorithm's still not safe. It's still going to be run by a Chinese national. The president of TikTok is not going away. So he's still taking his marching orders from the CCP. So it's. I'm not saying that I like I said, I don't like TikTok. I don't like the edits and all that stuff. Some of the funny stuff that comes out of there, fine, but the dance challenges and
those
the
are
ice bucket challenge, I fear for the future of our country. And what's more telling is American TikTok is not allowed in China. They have their own version of it, but they don't let their kids sit on TikTok for 16 hours a day.
Yeah, look, this all goes back to parents at the end of the day. I mean, for underage kids, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot, but there's a lot of adults on TikTok. Like, I mean, Micah Gravely, we were just talking about a few minutes ago. He's out there loving on TikTok. A lot of people are making a lot of money on TikTok too by putting content out, and I mean, there's been stars that have come out of TikTok, like country music sensations have come out of TikTok. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. I'm not sure it's the government's job though to tell us what we can and we can't look at online. I don't think I want a president telling me they're going to ban TikTok, but now you can use Facebook because Mark Zuckerberg runs Facebook. I just don't think we want a government that powerful.
Right. And the idea of a hostile nation, that changes every
it changes.
few years.
Yeah, it could change at any point.
Obviously we know Russia, Iran, China, they're all hostile to us.
Exactly.
But when you take that money away from China, take that control away from China, you also have to realize China supplies a lot, like all of our prescriptions.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So it's barbecue time in Haiti.
Good Lord, what a story. Have you been following the story since it's really kind of blew up over the last week?
So the reason we say it's barbecue time is the 47-year-old former police officer that is head of one of the major gangs. And look, the gangs have taken over Haiti.
Yes.
Haiti's a dump. Haiti's been a dump as long as I've been alive.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. It's like the DR is a tourist destination now. I've got friends that go to the DR all the time. Haiti's the same island, and it's a dump, right? And I think President Trump called it a crap hole a couple years ago and took a lot of heat for saying that. But, I mean, that's what it is.
Like, look, the cruise lines have tried to help by adding Port-au-Prince as a cruise stop. Like, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't go there.
A cruise person anyway, but if Port-au-Prince was on the list, I'd be like,
I'm not going. Yeah, I'm not going there. There's no reason to get off the boat.
DR, if you stay in the tourist areas, DR is very nice. Dominican Republic. I had a pretty good day fishing last time I was there. I think 5 or 6 dolphin, which are my. But had a pretty good day fishing. The resort was nice. The people were nice. But the Haitian side, man, the French side is just a dump.
Yep.
I missed the deployment to Haiti by, I think, a year. I went in the Army in 95. The Haitian invasion, I think, was 94, maybe end of 93. So I barely missed it, but I heard the stories from the guys that I served with. And they're talking about driving past a haystack and seeing a head on top of a haystack. And they ask the interpreter, what happened? He goes, oh, he was a witch.
Yep. And then, back to the story while we said barbecue is in control. So this is like a rival. The gangs have taken over. And this guy, Barbecue, his name is Jimmy Sherazier.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say his last name. He's one of the most outspoken critics and enemies of the current prime minister, who is Ariel Henry. And Henry's he's been in Puerto Rico since all this stuff has flared up over the last couple of weeks. But basically, Barbecue he's got this alliance of 9 other gangs that they call the G9. And they're going through, and they say Barbecue gets his name from basically burning people alive that doesn't agree with them. So it's just turned into a really bad situation. And I saw there were some Americans on the island and they can't get off at the moment. So they're just like hunkered down, working with U.S. leaders and the consulate, but just trying to get off the island, and they can't at the moment. So this thing's going to get a lot worse, I think, before it gets better.
There were some private organizations that got some Americans out, and we found this in Afghanistan, that private organizations are much better at getting people out, are much more willing to do it.
Yep.
I shouldn't say better. I mean, we could certainly send SEALs in, send Delta in, or somebody like that, and go and get folks, but we won't. And part of that is it's an act of war doing that. My first question was, what the hell are Americans doing there?
But I've known a lot of people have gone down over the last few years on mission trips to Haiti, especially after the earthquake. Back in, how many years ago was the earthquake? I can't even remember now. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of people that go down there and try to help out and try to That's
what I was about to say. Aid organizations, things like that. But when things start going bad, and you start seeing guys running around with AKs and stuff like that,
you better get out. It's time to leave.
It's time to pop smoke.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out. And this is something that's very important in life. The people during 9/11 who lived, when they saw things were going bad, left. They got out. Leave now. The people that sat around and go, let me see what happens. Let me lock up my desk. Let me finish this last email. Those people died. So when you see something, and I don't care if it's something that extreme or the snow jam we had a few years ago when kids were stuck on the buses for 24 hours. When you see the situation change, you have to adapt to it.
Yep, exactly.
You have to be able to say, you know what, things have changed. We need to move right now.
Yep.
Drop what you're doing. Go. Let's go. And I'm not admonishing these civilians that are stuck there, but man, you got to know when you go to these hot spots that no one's coming to help you.
I agree.
All right, so Senator Colton Moore banned from the Georgia House floor.
I wonder how many times this has happened in the past. I should have looked that up. But yeah, so in the General Assembly last week, they were David Ralston, who was the old Speaker of the House for over 10 years. He passed away either last year or the year before, but his family and community were in the Capitol last Thursday to unveil a portrait of Speaker Ralston that they were going to hang up in the chamber. And the Senate was considering a resolution urging the University of North Georgia to name a new academic facility being built on its Blue Ridge campus after the former speaker, who did die in 2022. And Senator Moore got up in front of the Senate chambers, and I'm not sure he said anything that wasn't correct, but it was nothing that was very, he didn't compliment the former speaker at all, if I can be nice.
Well, he was completely accurate.
He was.
Ralston. Now, look, I will speak because I'm on record.
I did not like. Look, I went against Ralston in 2019.
Like
so yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah, I did not like Ralston. I didn't trust him. He used his position to enrich himself.
He went after members. He went after members, Republican members that he didn't like. He
would primary your butt in a heartbeat if you didn't toe his line.
Yep.
But beyond that, he created a law that a legislative, I won't say exemption, but legislative duty. If you're on legislative duty and you're an attorney, you get it postponed. And what Colton Moore said, which is true, that once he became speaker, he abused that. If you paid his retainer, didn't matter what you did, child molestation, DUI,
he would get your
didn't
case.
matter what you did, he would take your retainer, and then he had a form letter. And he would just say delay.
Because as speaker, you're always doing something for the state of Georgia, and your speaker.
It's a full-time job.
Yep. So he was delaying these. Yeah. He delayed one case for over 10 years. Go ahead.
In the case of child molestation, those kids have to move on. So say someone abused an 8-year-old. 10 years later, they're 18 years old. They're ready to move out of state and go to college. And when you've got
district attorneys change, people come and go out of the office. Yeah, and they end up
evidence disappears.
They end up dropping the case, and that's what happened a lot of times. Is the DAs would get frustrated with Speaker Ralston delaying these cases, and they would just end up dropping the cases. So it was
now all this is true. Should it be said from the well?
Yeah, I think we.
I don't know.
I think we said it. There's two things can be true here. I think Speaker Ralston was not a good person, but I also think Senator Moore, who is one of my friends, one of my dear friends, I really like Colton. I don't think he used the best judgment by doing this. Now,
he could just voted no.
He could have just voted no, and that's what when I went in with Colton back in 2019. Our first vote in 2019 was to name the new judicial center after Governor Dill, who is still alive, right? And Matt Gertler and Colton Moore both voted no on that bill. I voted yes, which was probably my worst vote because I don't think we ought to be naming judicial centers after governors that just left, 15 minutes before, because you never know what's going to happen over the next, over their lifetime. This is the same type thing, and this is what Colton was responding to, right? He voted no on Governor Dill's thing. He didn't like Governor Dill. He didn't like Speaker Ralston, and he made his. He could have just voted no, but he got up and said all this stuff. So you have to suffer the consequences, right? And his consequences on this is he can't go on the Georgia House floor any longer. And the lieutenant governor cut him off about halfway through his speech.
He did. And look, the lieutenant governor was basically saying the decorum.
Yeah, it's not the time and place for this.
Lieutenant governor didn't say you're wrong. He said this is not the time or place for it.
Right.
And look, Moore could have said something of I have to oppose this, and without going into all the particulars of abused children who died of cancer.
Yeah, I think you just vote.
I
think you just vote no on that case and move on. I really do.
And that's fine. But if you feel the need to be heard, you can give a quick 5 minutes. I may say I'm opposed this. I'm a fellow Republican. I worked with the speaker, knowing his background, knowing his behavior within the House. I don't think this is an appropriate thing. And sit back down and shut up.
Yeah. Besides
the fact that he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn. All right, so Boeing's got their own Epstein.
This is
whistleblower, quote unquote, commits suicide.
Another Epstein, right? So this is a Boeing whistleblower that basically worked for Boeing for, I think, over 20 or 30 years. He was in quality control. Yeah, worked there for over 3 decades, and he has come forward over the past year as a whistleblower and said Boeing cut corners on a lot of their planes that they were building. He was actually down in, where was he at? He was down somewhere.
South Carolina.
Down in South Carolina. And the next day he was supposed to testify, and give more, like a deposition again. And found him outside that morning in his truck, and he had killed himself. Now, it's very, not to go into too much speculation here, but it was very interesting that I read that most times somebody shoots himself and commits suicide by gun, the gun only remains in their hand 25% of the time, which sort of makes sense, right? Like if you shoot yourself, you drop the gun and blah, blah, blah. So this guy still had the gun in his hand. The hotel staff said this guy was eating dinner and drinking beer the night before and seemed really happy and, no issues. And I don't know, this is kind of a weird one here.
Yeah, it reminds me of A Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm.
Where they've got the second in command who's about to testify, puts on a Class A uniform, pulls a .45 out, and blows his brains out. Now, one of the reasons the gun doesn't stay in the hand is the second the brain is gone, the instant you're no longer able to control recoil.
Yeah, right.
So if you're talking about Kurt Cobain, who was holding a shotgun that was on the floor, that's one thing. But when you're talking about a pistol in a pickup truck, or I'm sorry, in a car, you would think the recoil would take the pistol out of the hand. Now, if you're framing somebody for suicide, we've all seen Goodfellas. You pop them and then you lay the gun in their hand and wipe everything down and go away. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying it's very suspicious that a guy who I think was drinking a Coke or something was having conversations with hotel staff.
Yeah, right. His ID. Yeah, nothing said he was going to do this, right?
Yeah, his ID was in his room.
Yep.
So
it just looks suspicious.
It's very, very suspicious.
It is.
Yeah, it's not saying that anybody's guilty of anything, but it sure does feel icky.
Yeah, it does.
All right, this is a good time to remind you these are our opinions, not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over thegeorgiavirtue.com. I had the mule this week. Ann Kirkpatrick, New Orleans Police Superintendent, I guess, says that rats have been in the evidence room eating the weed.
And getting high.
And getting high, which is physiologically improbable.
I would like to see some high rats running around there.
Yeah, but you can. You've got to cook the weed first
and let them eat it at that point.
And look, I had to Google this last night because I saw this on TV that you can't get high by eating weed, and it's according to the articles that I read several of them. That's true. Is you need a catalyst. You need something to separate the THC from the other compounds. Whether it's drying it and smoking it, whether it's when you make edibles, you cook it and then add whatever you cooked it into the edibles or whatever else. Not that I'm a weed expert, but if you go and buy an ounce of weed and you eat it, all you're going to do is give yourself halitosis. You smell like you ate a skunk's butt.
Nice.
But personal theory,
people are still on the weed.
Disappearing. Yeah, weed's been disappearing from the evidence room, and like, oh, the rats are getting it. You mean like they're taking dime bags, taking it back to their hole? I mean, what are these rats doing?
Yeah, why does an evidence locker have a bunch of rats in there? Like, if they're messing with the marijuana, what else? What other evidence are they messing with?
The overall testimony was talking about the condition of the building they're in. But for somebody who's been in law enforcement long enough to have 4 stars on her shoulder, well, it shouldn't be saying the rats are running around high.
I agree.
Now, she didn't say it with a smile on her face. It wasn't a joke. Like I don't know what they're doing with it. It then say, in all seriousness, rats will take anything to, and look, they could have a rat problem. Rats will take anything to make a nest out of, and maybe that to them that makes a good nest. If they get under your house, they'll take your insulation from under your house and make a nest out of it to have their babies. And that's quite possible. So I'm saying that they don't have a rat infestation. And look, I've been to New Orleans. I have no doubt they have a rat infestation. But just that testimony makes her the actual mule of the week.
Yeah, that's a good mule.
So, second place for mule of the week, Vice President Kamala Harris visits an abortion clinic.
Yeah, this was weird. So she's the first president or vice president that has visited an abortion clinic. We were talking about
publicly and while sitting.
Yes, publicly and while sitting. Look, I mean, I know abortion is one of these topics that gets people all fired up. It just feels like we've went from abortion being something that you should, even both sides of the political spectrum, saying that abortion is not great, not good.
What's safe, legal, and rare?
Right, safe, legal, and rare
was what that was the pro-choice, safe, legal.
But
and
now
rare.
We've got people on the left celebrating abortion and celebrating the killing of innocent children, and now Kamala Harris visiting a Planned Parenthood clinic. I don't, and this all goes to November again. We talked about this earlier. Democrats are running on reproductive rights, and that's their message in November. They have nothing else, and they think there's enough women that are worried about abortion being taken away that they'll vote Democrat in November. And that's what this is. I mean, it's nothing else. It's that. It's
all the Supreme Court did was make it a 10th Amendment issue.
They did. They sent it back to the states.
If you don't like Georgia's heartbeat bill, and look, I know people who like it, people don't. The reason I've said before, the reason I like it is we have a defining characteristic of life, and it's heartbeat. But it's when you say 8 weeks or 10 weeks, there's no way there's no definitive way of saying, oh, I got pregnant exactly 6 weeks ago or exactly 8 weeks ago, because even monogamous families, Connie and I tried to have a baby for years. There's no way we could have narrowed it down to an exact date. Actually, we probably could have, because she had an app on her phone. She was tracking all the activity.
At this point in my life, I could narrow it down to a particular date because it doesn't.
That's when we were in Paris.
It doesn't come very often. Sorry if there's any kids listening. Or my son. But I mean, it's like you said. I mean, we're at the point where if you don't give people access to abortion at any point in a pregnancy, I mean, that's the Democrats' message now, that they want abortion to the baby being born. There's not even a point where I don't think the two sides can compromise on this issue any longer and do what you said. Like there's just no way to compromise at this point. And Kamala Harris is not helping. I mean, she's the second mule or the first mule this week by going to this Planned Parenthood clinic.
And look, there is under no circumstances will there be a bill to ban abortion nationally. I know it's fear mongering, and there's also going to be no bill that can possibly pass that would enshrine the right to an abortion within federal code.
Right.
That's just not the way our federal government works. It's just there's no way you can get the House and then 60 members of the Senate to vote either way on that.
Nope.
This
is it's a states level thing now. I mean, that's just where it's at.
It's 100% fear mongering.
It is. It's 100%.
If you vote for the orange man, he's going to take away your reproductive rights. And again, even the framing it as reproductive rights pisses me off. It does too.
I can't stand that word.
It's not women's health. It's not. The only thing I like about this argument is they've gone away from women's health care, having healthy babies, reproductive rights. And now because pro-choice people never said the word abortion, almost never said the word abortion. they would say reproductive rights, women's rights, privacy.
Yes, right.
And because Roe v. Wade really was a ruling on privacy. And use all these other words to dance around it. But now that SCOTUS has said, no, it's a 10th Amendment issue, kick it down to the states. And now they're coming right out saying abortion. The only people who said abortion before this last ruling were the pro-life people who would use that word and hammer them over the head with it over and over and over again about abortion, abortion, abortion. And now you have the other side taking it up and saying, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. And I think that's going to be a turnoff, because when it was framed with suburban women as reproductive rights and health care and family planning and all this stuff, when it was stated like that, you had the suburban women, particularly white, upper middle class and above suburban women, going, yeah, what do you have against women? When they start talking about it this way, that's gonna start. I think that starts to change the dial a little bit on these upper middle class white suburban women. That's just my opinion. For, obviously being a upper middle class white suburban woman myself.
I was supposed to laugh.
Yeah. Well, now you see my man boobs. Actually, I'm down to I'm way down right now. But Kamala Harris hosts a roundtable to discuss weed with Fat Joe. I don't know who the hell Fat Joe is.
He's some rapper is some musician. So she basically hosted a roundtable, and I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing, but she hosted a roundtable of people that had received pardons for marijuana-related convictions. So it sounds like they're going to push the decriminalization of marijuana pretty hard too in 2024.
Yeah, but she is the worst friggin' spokesperson for it. She put a couple thousand people in jail when she was a prosecutor for simple possession of marijuana.
Agree. I mean, so it's abortion and marijuana on the ballot in 2024. All right.
And she's not nuanced enough to say, that was my job. I was sworn to uphold the laws of California. And though I disagreed with them, I was sworn to uphold them. But she's not nuanced on that. She'd get into, I was sworn, and then start laughing hysterically like she's a female version of the friggin' Joker.
I still can't believe they hadn't kicked her off the ticket. And
they can't.
I still think they're going to kick Biden off the ticket in June or at their convention. I really think that's coming.
Yeah, well,
we'll see.
That'd be trouble.
We'll see.
All right, Kenny, as we're winding down, what do you have for closing thoughts?
Yeah, so this came out yesterday. The labor commissioner in Georgia, Bruce Thompson, announced he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer that has also spread to his liver. So Bruce is, if anybody knows Bruce, he used to be a state senator. Bruce is one of the best guys out there that I think I've met in politics. So very sad news. I hope he can get into chemo, and chemo takes care of it. I know there's a lot of people praying for Bruce, so we wish him the best.
Yeah, it's a horrible diagnosis. It's prayers for him and his family. It's not just the patient who goes through cancer. It's all the loved ones around that patient, the spouse, friends, kids, parents. It's such a devastating disease, and it's tough to watch somebody go through. It's gratifying to see someone win.
Yep, exactly.
And even dying from cancer doesn't mean you lost, as long as you fight.
Yep.
You do the best you can for as long as you can, and sometimes the other side gets ahead of you, and that's very sad. If you like what you heard or hate what you heard, inflict us on your friends and family. Like and share us on the socials. Please share the show. Share your notes with us. You can certainly hit us up on Facebook. I'm sure we have an X and all that stuff. I don't really monitor it, but I think Eric does. So speaking of Eric, big thanks to him for taking our awful audio and turning it something that you can listen to. To Ken Poland, my partner in endeavor, I'm Dave Roberts. Have a great week.
Shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.